Imagine standing where the island of Sumbawa finally meets the eastern horizon. The first light of dawn breaks across the calm waters of Bima Bay. Golden sunlight slowly spreads over ancient hills, quiet fishing boats, fertile rice fields, and a city that has witnessed centuries of triumph, sacrifice, faith, and resilience. At first glance, Kota Bima may appear to be just another coastal city in eastern Indonesia. But beneath its peaceful skyline lies one of the most remarkable civilizations in the history of the Indonesian archipelago. This is not simply the story of a city, this is the story of a civilization that refused to disappear. This is the story of a kingdom that transformed into a sultanate while preserving its identity through generations of change. This is the story of a people whose traditions continue to shape daily life in the modern era. Welcome to Kota Bima. Located at the eastern tip of Sumbawa Island in the province of West Nusa Tenggara, Kota Bima occupies one of Indonesia's most strategic geographic positions. For centuries, this region served as a gateway connecting the eastern and western parts of the archipelago. Long before modern highways and airports existed, ships carrying merchants, scholars, explorers, and sailors sailed through these waters. Every voyage carried not only goods, but also knowledge, beliefs, languages, and cultures that would gradually shape the remarkable identity of Bima. Yet despite centuries of outside influence, Bima never lost its own soul. Instead, it absorbed the best of every encounter, while preserving the traditions that had defined its people for generations. The people proudly call their homeland Dou Mbojo. For them, this land is far more than a place on the map. It is a legacy. It is a responsibility. It is an inheritance passed from one generation to the next. The history of Bima stretches back far beyond written records. According to the ancient manuscript known as the Kitab Bo, one of the oldest historical texts of the Kingdom and Sultanate of Bima, the origins of this civilization begin with a remarkable journey from the island of Java. The manuscript tells of a noble traveler known as Sang Bima, who arrived on Satonda Island. This volcanic island, located off the northern coast of Sumbawa, occupies a special place in the traditional history of the Bima people. It is regarded as the birthplace of the royal lineage that would eventually establish one of eastern Indonesia's most influential kingdoms. At that time, the region was governed by local leaders known as the Nchuhi. Rather than conquering the land through force, Sang Bima earned the trust and respect of these leaders. Recognizing his wisdom and leadership, the Federation of Nchuhi appointed him as their ruler. Yet what happened next revealed something extraordinary. Instead of seizing absolute power, Sang Bima entrusted governing authority back to Nchuhi Dara while maintaining overall leadership. It was an early example of leadership based not on domination, but on cooperation, trust, and shared responsibility. Generations later, Sang Bima's sons, Indra Zamrud and Indra Komala, arrived in the land of Bima. Indra Zamrud would become the first king of Bima. His coronation marked the official beginning of the Kingdom of Bima, opening a new chapter that would shape the history of eastern Indonesia for centuries. From that moment onward, Bima evolved into far more than a regional kingdom. Its influence expanded through trade, diplomacy, religion, maritime power, and cultural development. For 16 generations, kings ruled Bima, guiding the kingdom through changing political landscapes while strengthening its position within the wider Indonesian archipelago. But history never stands still. The arrival of Islam gradually transformed societies across Indonesia, bringing profound religious, political, and cultural changes. Bima embraced this transformation without abandoning its heritage. On July 5, 1640, one of the most significant moments in the city's history took place. The kingdom officially became the Sultanate of Bima. The Crown Prince, Lakai, who carried the title Rumata Mabata Wadu, accepted Islam and became Sultan Abdul Kahir, the first Sultan of Bima. His reign marked the beginning of a new era that blended Islamic values with the enduring traditions of the Mbojo people. For more than 3 centuries, 15 sultans would lead Bima through times of prosperity, conflict, colonial expansion, and political transformation. Throughout these centuries, the Sultanate faced immense challenges. European imperialism reached the Indonesian archipelago. Colonial powers competed for influence over strategic ports and valuable trade routes. Across the islands, kingdoms rose and fell. Some disappeared forever. Yet Bima endured. Its leaders adapted without surrendering their cultural identity. Its people preserved their customs even as the world around them changed dramatically. When Sultan Muhammad Salahuddin passed away in 1951, another historic chapter came to an end. The era of the Sultanate concluded as Indonesia embraced independence and established a modern system of regional government. The former Sultanate became a self-governing region before eventually developing into Kabupaten Bima. Then, in 2002, another milestone reshaped the region. Under Law No. 13 of 2002, Kota Bima was officially established as an autonomous municipality. Today, the historic homeland of the Mbojo people exists as 2 administrative regions, Kabupaten Bima and Kota Bima. 2 governments, 1 shared history, 1 enduring identity. History gives us dates. Maps give us borders. Statistics give us numbers. But none of those things can fully explain the soul of Kota Bima. To understand this city, you have to look beyond government buildings and busy streets. You have to understand the land itself. Kota Bima occupies approximately 222.25 square kilometers of land on the eastern edge of Sumbawa Island. Although relatively compact in size, its geographic position has given it extraordinary importance throughout history. To the north, the city borders Ambalawi district. To the south lies Palibelo district. To the east stands Wawo district. To the west, the calm waters of Bima Bay open toward one of Indonesia's historic maritime routes. This location transformed Bima into far more than a local settlement. It became a crossroads, a meeting place, a bridge connecting cultures from eastern Indonesia with those from the west. For centuries, ships sailing across the archipelago naturally passed through these waters. Traders exchanged spices, textiles, ceramics, horses, and agricultural products. Along with commerce came ideas, languages, architecture, religious teachings, and artistic traditions. Every arriving vessel left behind something more valuable than merchandise. It left behind knowledge. That constant interaction helped shape Bima into a society that welcomed progress while remaining deeply rooted in its own identity. Modern Kota Bima consists of 5 districts: Rasanai Barat, Rasanai Timur, Asakota, Mpunda, and Raba. Each district contributes its own unique character to the city. Asakota occupies nearly 1/3 of the municipality, making it the largest district by area. Rasanai Timur and Raba also account for significant portions of the city's territory, while Rasanai Barat and Mpunda complete the urban landscape with vibrant residential neighborhoods, commercial centers, educational institutions, and government offices. Yet what truly defines Kota Bima is not the size of its districts. It is the people who call this place home. According to Indonesia's Central Statistics Agency, Kota Bima is home to more than 155,000 residents. One remarkable feature of its population is its youth. Children represent one of the city's largest demographic groups, particularly those between 0 and 4 years old. This matters because every child represents possibility, every classroom represents the future, every young dream carries the potential to shape the next chapter of Bima's history. A civilization survives not because of its monuments, it survives because each generation chooses to preserve it. That is exactly what continues to happen in Kota Bima today. Walk through the neighborhoods of the city, and you quickly discover that tradition is not locked away inside museums. It is alive. You can hear it in conversations. You can see it in ceremonies. You can feel it during celebrations. The indigenous people of Bima, known as the Dou Mbojo, have preserved customs that have survived hundreds of years of political change. Their cultural identity continues to influence daily life through language, family values, community cooperation, music, dance, clothing, and religious traditions. Modern buildings may rise across the city. Technology may transform communication. Young people may connect with the entire world through smartphones. Yet many traditions remain exactly where they have always belonged, at the center of family life. Traditional wedding ceremonies continue to honor customs inherited from previous generations. Quran completion ceremonies remain important milestones for young Muslims. Community gatherings reinforce the spirit of togetherness. Traditional music and dance continue to accompany important celebrations. These are not performances created for tourists. They are living traditions, practiced by people who understand that culture is not something to admire only in history books. Culture survives only when people continue to live it. That commitment explains why the legacy of the Sultanate remains visible throughout Kota Bima. Unlike many historical kingdoms, whose heritage exists only in ancient manuscripts, Bima still possesses physical reminders of its remarkable past. Its royal architecture, its historical landmarks, its cultural festivals, its traditional philosophies. Each one serves as a bridge connecting modern generations with ancestors who built this civilization centuries ago. Perhaps that is why visitors often leave Kota Bima with a surprising realization. They expected to visit a city. Instead, they encountered a living civilization. But Bima's greatest strength has never been limited to its history. Its future is equally promising. Look toward the coastline, and another story begins to unfold. The city possesses abundant coastal resources that have long supported local livelihoods. Its shoreline serves as an important maritime corridor linking western and eastern Indonesia. This strategic position continues to create opportunities for trade, transportation, fisheries, logistics, and tourism. Throughout history, coastal cities have often become engines of economic growth. Bima is no exception. Its location provides access to regional shipping routes while creating opportunities for future investment and sustainable development. Beneath the surrounding landscape lie valuable natural resources, including marble, iron ore, and iron sand. These resources represent economic potential that, when managed responsibly, can contribute to regional prosperity while preserving environmental balance. Equally important is Bima's potential as a transportation and transit hub. As infrastructure continues to improve across eastern Indonesia, Kota Bima is increasingly positioned to become a strategic gateway connecting multiple provinces, islands, and economic corridors. Yet, despite these modern opportunities, the people of Bima have never forgotten one timeless truth. A nation cannot thrive without food. Agriculture remains one of Kota Bima's greatest strengths. Across irrigated rice fields, especially in Rasanai Timur district, farmers continue traditions that have sustained families for generations. Season after season, they cultivate rice that feeds local communities and contributes to regional food security. Beyond rice, fertile land produces cassava, soybeans, corn, peanuts, vegetables, and other agricultural commodities. Many of these products travel far beyond the city's borders. Some reach neighboring regions, others are transported across the sea to Java. Each harvest tells a quiet but powerful story. The prosperity of a city is not built only by skyscrapers. It is also built by the hands of farmers who rise before sunrise, who work beneath the tropical heat, who trust the rhythm of the seasons, who understand that every grain of rice represents hope. When people speak about Indonesia's future, they often focus on massive cities and industrial centers. But places like Kota Bima remind us of something essential. The future of a nation is also shaped by communities that continue to protect their history while producing food, preserving culture, educating young generations, and strengthening local economies. That balance between heritage and progress is what makes Kota Bima extraordinary. It is a city that refuses to choose between the past and the future. Instead, it carries both forward together. There are cities that preserve history inside glass display cases. Then there are cities where history still breathes. Kota Bima belongs to the second. If there is one place that captures the spirit of this remarkable civilization, it is Asi Mbojo, the last royal palace of the Sultanate of Bima. Standing proudly in the heart of the city, Asi Mbojo is far more than an elegant historic building. It is a silent witness. Every pillar has watched generations come and go. Every hallway has echoed with decisions that shaped the future of an entire kingdom. Every room has preserved stories that continue to inspire the people of Bima today. Unlike many royal palaces that disappeared under the weight of war, natural disasters, or neglect, Asi Mbojo survived. Time has weathered its walls, history has tested its strength, yet its dignity remains untouched. Today, the palace serves as a museum, welcoming visitors who wish to step inside centuries of living history. Walking through Asi Mbojo feels less like entering a museum and more like stepping into another era. Ancient royal heirlooms quietly tell stories of diplomacy and leadership. Traditional weapons remind visitors that courage was once measured not only on the battlefield, but also through wisdom and justice. Beautiful ceremonial clothing reflects the artistic mastery of generations of Mbojo craftsmen. Historical manuscripts preserve knowledge passed from ruler to ruler. Every object carries a story. Every artifact preserves a memory. Every corner reminds visitors that civilizations are built by people who understand the value of legacy. But perhaps the palace's greatest significance is not found inside its display cases. It is found in the spirit it represents. According to historical accounts, Asi Mbojo became the place where the Indonesian red and white flag was first raised in Bima following Indonesia's proclamation of independence. Imagine that extraordinary moment. After centuries of kingdoms, after centuries of sultanates, after generations living through colonial influence, the red and white finally waved proudly above the palace. It symbolized far more than political change. It represented hope, freedom, unity, and the beginning of a new chapter in Indonesian history. For the people of Bima, Asi Mbojo is not simply the memory of royal power, it is the memory of national awakening. It reminds every generation that loyalty to local identity and loyalty to Indonesia can stand together. You do not have to erase your roots to embrace your future. That lesson remains just as powerful today. Only a short distance from the palace stands another landmark that beautifully illustrates how Bima blends tradition with modern vision. Along the coastline of Amahami Beach rises one of the city's most recognizable landmarks, the Amahami Floating Mosque. At first glance, visitors often stop in amazement. The mosque appears to float gracefully above the water. Its elegant silhouette reflects against the calm sea, creating one of the most breathtaking scenes in eastern Indonesia. As the sun rises, golden light dances across its white structure. As evening arrives, the mosque glows against the darkening sky, while gentle waves surround its foundations. The view is unforgettable. Completed in 2017, the mosque quickly became one of Kota Bima's defining landmarks. Yet its beauty extends far beyond architecture. Every element of its design carries meaning. The basic layout reflects Ngusu Waru, a traditional philosophy of leadership embraced by the people of Bima. The design also incorporates the form of Uma Lenge, the region's iconic traditional granary, symbolizing wisdom, sustainability, and harmony between humanity and nature. At the center of the architectural concept lies the Star of Al-Quds, a geometric symbol widely recognized within Islamic artistic tradition. Together, these elements create a building that speaks two languages simultaneously. One language is faith, the other is culture. Neither competes with the other. Instead, they strengthen one another. Even the decorative details tell meaningful stories. Throughout the mosque, visitors can find the beautiful Satako flower ornament. To an outside observer, it may appear to be simple decoration. For the people of Bima, however, it carries a timeless message. A single flower should spread goodness wherever it blooms. Likewise, every individual should bring kindness first to their family, then to their community, and finally to society as a whole. Imagine if every city embraced such a philosophy. Imagine if greatness were measured not only by economic growth, but also by the kindness its people shared with one another. That is the quiet wisdom hidden within the walls of the Amahami Floating Mosque. The city originally envisioned the mosque not only as a place of worship, but also as a destination capable of attracting visitors from across Indonesia and beyond. Its architects succeeded. Today, countless travelers arrive simply to witness the harmony between engineering, spirituality, and local identity. Many leave with photographs. The fortunate ones leave with something even more valuable: perspective. Because buildings may impress the eyes, but meaningful architecture speaks directly to the heart. As daylight fades across Bima Bay, another tradition begins preparing for its moment. A tradition unlike almost any other in Indonesia. A tradition that has thrilled generations. A tradition that transforms ordinary fields into arenas of excitement. The thunder of galloping hooves, the cheers of thousands of spectators, the incredible courage of young riders. This is Pacoa Jara, the legendary horse racing tradition of Bima. For the people of Bima, horse racing is far more than entertainment. It is heritage in motion. It is culture expressed through speed, discipline, and extraordinary trust between rider and horse. Several times each year, the city comes alive as thousands gather to witness one of its oldest and most beloved traditions. Events are held during the Bupati Bima Cup, the anniversary of Bima, Indonesia's independence celebrations, and the anniversary of West Nusa Tenggara province. Families travel from surrounding villages, friends reunite, communities celebrate together. The atmosphere becomes electric. Yet what surprises first-time visitors most is not the horses, it is the jockeys. Many are only 6 to 9 years old. These fearless young riders race without saddles, relying entirely on balance, courage, and years of training. The horses themselves are equally unique. Known locally as Jara Poro, or sometimes affectionately called the Bima horse, they are much smaller than many racing breeds found elsewhere in the world. Standing at roughly 1 meter tall, they possess remarkable endurance, agility, and speed. Do not let their size fool you. When the starting signal sounds, these horses explode forward with astonishing power. Within seconds, the entire crowd rises to its feet. The earth shakes beneath pounding hooves. Voices fill the air. Adrenaline takes over. For a few unforgettable moments, everyone watching becomes part of something much larger than a race. They become part of a tradition that has survived for generations. In a rapidly changing world where many local customs quietly disappear, Pacoa Jara continues to thrive. Not because people are forced to preserve it, but because they genuinely love it. That may be the greatest strength of Kota Bima. Its traditions are not protected by obligation, they are protected by pride. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine hearing the thunder of hooves echoing across an open field. Imagine thousands of voices rising in excitement. Imagine generations of families standing side by side, cheering not only for victory, but for a tradition that has survived the passage of time. That is the heartbeat of Kota Bima, a city where history is not trapped in books, a city where culture is not performed only for visitors, a city where heritage continues to shape everyday life. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson Bima offers the world. Modernization does not require forgetting who you are. Progress does not demand abandoning your roots. The strongest societies are those that move forward while carrying their history with pride. Today, Kota Bima continues to evolve. Its roads grow busier, its schools educate new generations, its businesses expand, its digital economy slowly gains momentum, its young people dream bigger than ever before. Yet no matter how much the skyline changes, one thing remains constant: the spirit of the Dou Mbojo people. For centuries they have faced change. They witnessed kingdoms rise. They witnessed the birth of a sultanate. They endured colonial influence. They embraced independence. They welcomed modern Indonesia. And through every chapter, they never stopped believing in the strength of their identity. That resilience is visible everywhere. It is visible in farmers who continue cultivating fertile fields that feed thousands of families. It is visible in fishermen who greet the sunrise across the calm waters of Bima Bay. It is visible in artisans whose hands continue weaving traditional Mbojo textiles with patterns passed down through generations. It is visible in teachers who inspire children to dream beyond the limits of their hometown while teaching them never to forget where they came from. It is visible in families who continue gathering for traditional ceremonies that strengthen community bonds. Every smile, every prayer, every celebration, every act of kindness. Together they form the living soul of Kota Bima. Visitors often arrive expecting beautiful scenery, and they certainly find it. Rolling green hills embrace the city. The tranquil waters of Bima Bay reflect spectacular sunsets. Rice fields stretch across fertile plains. Historic buildings stand proudly beside modern neighborhoods. The floating Amahami Mosque creates one of the most stunning coastal skylines in eastern Indonesia. Asi Mbojo Palace quietly preserves centuries of royal history. Every corner offers another story waiting to be discovered. But those who stay a little longer discover something even more valuable. They discover the warmth of its people. Hospitality has always been one of Bima's greatest treasures. Guests are welcome not as strangers, but as friends. Respect for elders remains deeply rooted. Community cooperation continues to flourish. Faith provides guidance. Family remains the foundation of society. These values cannot be measured by statistics. They cannot be calculated through economic reports. Yet they are the invisible wealth that has allowed Bima to endure for centuries. In today's world, many cities compete to build taller skyscrapers. Many regions compete to become larger industrial centers. Many destinations compete for international recognition. Kota Bima reminds us that true greatness cannot always be measured by physical size. Its land area may cover only about 222 square kilometers. Its population may be just over 150,000 people, but influence is never determined by numbers alone. Sometimes, the smallest places leave the deepest impressions. Sometimes, the quietest voices carry the greatest wisdom. Sometimes, the strongest civilizations are those that never forget their values. Look again at the journey of Bima, a legendary beginning rooted in ancient manuscripts, a kingdom that flourished for generations, a sultanate that endured for more than 3 centuries, a community that preserved its traditions through changing times, a modern city that continues to honor its past while embracing its future. Few places can tell such a complete story. Even fewer continue living that story every single day. This is why Kota Bima deserves far greater recognition, not simply because of its history, not simply because of its beautiful landscapes, not simply because of its cultural attractions, but because it represents something increasingly rare in our modern world: balance. Balance between tradition and innovation, balance between faith and progress, balance between local identity and national unity, balance between remembering yesterday and preparing for tomorrow. Every civilization leaves behind a legacy. Some leave monuments, some leave books, some leave ruins. Kota Bima leaves something far more powerful, a living example that identity can survive every challenge when people choose to protect it. As Indonesia continues its remarkable journey into the future, cities like Kota Bima serve as important reminders of where that future began. Not inside towering office buildings, not inside financial districts, but inside communities that valued honor, wisdom, courage, faith, cooperation, and respect long before those ideas became fashionable. Because the future is strongest when it stands upon the foundation of history. Perhaps one day you will stand on the shores of Bima Bay just before sunrise. You will watch golden light spread across the sea. You will hear the morning call to prayer echo through the city. You will see fishing boats beginning another day. You will walk through the halls of Asi Mbojo Palace. You will admire the elegant silhouette of the Amahami Floating Mosque. You may even witness the thrilling spectacle of Pacoa Jara as fearless young jockeys race across the track before thousands of cheering spectators. And in that moment, you will understand something that cannot be learned from maps or history books. Kota Bima is not simply a destination. It is a living story, a story written by kings and sultans, protected by generations of the Dou Mbojo people, strengthened by faith, enriched by culture, connected by the sea, nourished by fertile land, inspired by courage, and carried forward by every child who dreams of building an even brighter future. Because civilizations do not become great by accident. They become great because generation after generation chooses to remember who they are. That is the enduring legacy of Kota Bima, a city at the eastern gateway of Sumbawa, a guardian of history, a beacon of culture, a symbol of resilience, and one of Indonesia's most extraordinary hidden treasures waiting for the world to discover. Yet the story of Kota Bima does not end here. In many ways, it is only just beginning. Every sunrise over Bima Bay marks another opportunity. Every child entering a classroom carries the hopes of an entire generation. Every entrepreneur opening a small business contributes to the city's growing economy. Every farmer planting rice, every fisherman casting a net, every teacher inspiring young minds, and every artisan preserving traditional craftsmanship becomes part of a story that has been unfolding for centuries. This is how civilizations truly survive. Not through grand speeches, not through magnificent monuments alone, but through ordinary people performing extraordinary acts of dedication every single day. One of the greatest strengths of Kota Bima is its strategic location. Situated at the eastern gateway of Sumbawa Island, the city has long served as a natural bridge between western and eastern Indonesia. For centuries, ships crossed these waters, carrying spices, textiles, livestock, ceramics, and countless other goods. Today, that same strategic geography continues to offer tremendous opportunities. As Indonesia accelerates infrastructure development across the eastern provinces, Kota Bima has the potential to become an increasingly important center for logistics, trade, tourism, fisheries, and regional investment. Its coastline offers more than scenic beauty. It represents economic possibility. The surrounding waters support fishing communities whose livelihoods have depended on the sea for generations. Marine resources continue to contribute to local food security while providing opportunities for sustainable economic growth. Meanwhile, the surrounding landscape contains valuable mineral resources, including marble, iron ore, and iron sand. When managed responsibly and sustainably, these natural assets can help strengthen the regional economy while protecting the environment for future generations. But perhaps the greatest resource of Kota Bima cannot be mined from the earth or harvested from the sea. It is its people. Throughout history, the Dou Mbojo have demonstrated remarkable resilience. They adapted to changing political systems. They welcomed new religions while preserving local traditions. They endured colonial pressures. They embraced independence. They navigated modernization. Yet, through every transformation, they never abandoned the values that defined their identity. Those values remain visible today: respect, integrity, hospitality, faith, perseverance, community. These are not merely words, they are principles woven into daily life. Walk through a neighborhood in Kota Bima and you may notice neighbors helping one another without expecting anything in return. Attend a traditional celebration and you will witness entire communities working together to ensure every guest feels welcomed. Visit local markets and you will discover conversations filled with warmth rather than haste. Observe family gatherings and you will see generations sitting together, sharing stories that preserve collective memory. In a world that often moves too fast, Kota Bima reminds us that some values should never be left behind. The city is also becoming increasingly attractive as a destination for travelers seeking authentic cultural experiences rather than crowded tourist hotspots. Visitors come not only to admire historical landmarks, but also to experience genuine local traditions. They explore Asi Mbojo Palace to understand the legacy of the Sultanate. They visit the Amahami Floating Mosque to appreciate its architectural beauty and philosophical symbolism. They witness the excitement of Pacoa Jara, where centuries of tradition still race across the track with breathtaking energy. They taste authentic Mbojo cuisine, rich with flavors shaped by generations of local knowledge. They admire traditional woven textiles crafted with extraordinary patience and artistic precision. Every experience reveals another layer of the city's identity. Every encounter leaves a lasting impression. For photographers, Kota Bima offers dramatic coastal landscapes. For historians, it preserves an extraordinary royal heritage. For cultural enthusiasts, it presents traditions that continue to thrive in everyday life. For nature lovers, it offers mountains, bays, beaches, and fertile agricultural landscapes existing in remarkable harmony. For spiritual travelers, it reflects the enduring role of Islam in shaping community life while honoring centuries of cultural heritage. Few destinations possess such remarkable diversity within a relatively compact area. This combination makes Kota Bima unlike anywhere else. As Indonesia continues to introduce its hidden gems to the world, cities like Kota Bima deserve a place among the nation's most meaningful destinations. Not because they seek attention, but because they have something meaningful to share. The world does not need more places that simply entertain. It needs places that inspire, places that teach, places that remind us that progress becomes meaningful only when it is guided by wisdom. Perhaps that is the greatest message hidden within the story of Kota Bima. Civilizations are not remembered because they were the largest. They are remembered because they stood for something greater than themselves. The Kingdom of Bima stood for leadership. The Sultanate stood for faith and resilience. Modern Kota Bima stands for continuity, a bridge connecting the wisdom of yesterday with the opportunities of tomorrow. And as long as its people continue protecting their heritage while embracing innovation, the story of Kota Bima will never truly end. It will continue to grow. It will continue to inspire. It will continue to remind every visitor that Indonesia's greatest treasures are not always its tallest mountains or its busiest cities. Sometimes they are found in places where history still breathes, where culture still lives, where communities still believe that kindness is strength, where every sunrise over Bima Bay carries the promise of another chapter waiting to be written. Because Kota Bima is more than a city. It is a legacy, a living civilization, a proud guardian of the Mbojo spirit, and a timeless reminder that the strongest foundation for the future is a deep respect for the past. There is an old belief shared by many civilizations. If you truly want to understand a nation, do not begin with its capital city. Go where its traditions still live. Go where history is remembered, not because it is written in textbooks, but because it is carried in the hearts of its people. Kota Bima is one of those places. Here, every generation becomes the guardian of a legacy far older than themselves. Children grow up hearing stories of kings who ruled with wisdom. They learn about the sultans who guided their people through centuries of change. They visit historical landmarks that remind them their ancestors were not merely spectators of history, they were the ones who shaped it. That sense of identity creates something incredibly powerful: confidence. Not the confidence that comes from wealth, not the confidence that comes from fame, but the confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are. In today's rapidly changing world, many communities struggle with a difficult question: how do we modernize without losing ourselves? Kota Bima quietly offers an answer. Protect your culture, respect your history, educate your children, welcome progress, but never forget your roots. Because roots are what allow trees to grow taller. Without strong roots, even the tallest tree eventually falls. The same is true for civilizations. Throughout Indonesia, thousands of cities and regencies contribute to the nation's remarkable diversity. Each possesses its own language, customs, cuisine, architecture, music, and traditions. Together, they form the extraordinary mosaic known as Indonesia. Kota Bima is one brilliant piece of that mosaic. Remove it, and Indonesia loses part of its story. Protect it, and Indonesia becomes even stronger. That is why preserving local culture is never merely a regional responsibility. It is a national responsibility. Every traditional dance preserved, every historical manuscript protected, every heritage building restored, every local language spoken by the next generation, every cultural ceremony continued. These are not simply acts of nostalgia, they are investments in the future, because a nation that forgets its past eventually loses direction. A nation that honors its history walks confidently toward tomorrow. As the 21st century unfolds, Kota Bima faces exciting opportunities. Technology is transforming education. Digital entrepreneurship is opening new economic possibilities. Infrastructure continues to improve. Tourism is introducing the city's unique identity to wider audiences. Young people are increasingly connected to the global community. Yet perhaps the greatest opportunity lies not in becoming someone else. It lies in becoming the very best version of itself. A modern city, rooted in ancient wisdom, connected to the world without losing its soul. Imagine what that future could look like. Imagine Asi Mbojo welcoming visitors from every continent. Imagine researchers studying centuries of Bima's royal history. Imagine artists sharing the beauty of Mbojo culture with international audiences. Imagine sustainable tourism creating new opportunities while protecting local traditions. Imagine children growing up fluent in technology while remaining proud of their ancestral heritage. Imagine Kota Bima becoming known across the world, not only for its breathtaking landscapes, but also for the character of its people. That future is entirely possible, because every great civilization once began with people who believed their story mattered. The story of Kota Bima matters. It matters because it teaches resilience. It matters because it teaches unity. It matters because it proves that cultural identity and modern development can grow side by side. It matters because it reminds us that greatness is never measured only by economic statistics. True greatness is measured by the values that survive across generations. So the next time you look at a map of Indonesia, do not simply search for famous destinations. Look beyond the obvious. Look toward the eastern edge of Sumbawa Island. There you will find a city embraced by the calm waters of Bima Bay, a city where royal history still echoes through palace walls, a city where the call to prayer rises above the sea, a city where fearless young jockeys continue traditions that have thrilled audiences for generations, a city where ancient customs remain part of everyday life, a city where every sunrise reminds its people that another chapter is waiting to be written. Because Kota Bima is not hidden, it has simply been waiting for the world to pay attention. And once you discover its story, you realize something remarkable. The greatest journeys are not always measured by how far we travel. Sometimes they are measured by how deeply a place changes the way we see the world. This is Kota Bima, the eastern guardian of Sumbawa, the proud home of the Dou Mbojo, a city shaped by kings, strengthened by sultans, protected by generations, guided by faith, surrounded by the sea, blessed with fertile land, rich in culture, resilient in spirit, and destined to inspire everyone fortunate enough to discover its extraordinary story. Because legends are not only found in the distant past, sometimes they are still being written right here in Kota Bima. Perhaps many years from now, when people speak about Indonesia's greatest stories, they will mention towering volcanoes, ancient temples, bustling metropolises, and world-famous islands. They should. Those places deserve their recognition. But somewhere beyond the spotlight, beyond the headlines, and beyond the destinations that dominate travel brochures, another story continues to unfold. A quieter story, a deeper story, a story that has never needed to shout to prove its greatness. That story belongs to Kota Bima. For centuries, this city has stood at the crossroads of history. Empires changed, trade routes shifted, political systems evolved, generations came and went. Yet Kota Bima remained, not because it resisted change, but because it understood something timeless. The strongest civilizations are those that know how to adapt without losing their identity. That lesson has never been more relevant than it is today. We live in an age where technology evolves almost every day. Artificial intelligence is transforming industries. Digital platforms connect billions of people across continents. Information travels around the globe in seconds. The world grows smaller with every passing year. Yet amid all this progress, one question becomes increasingly important. Who are we? Without history, we cannot answer it. Without culture, we cannot define it. Without identity, we cannot protect it. Kota Bima reminds us that development should never erase memory. Instead, development should strengthen it. Imagine a young child walking through the halls of Asi Mbojo Museum for the very first time. They pause before ancient royal heirlooms. They read about the kingdom of Bima. They discover the story of Sultan Abdul Kahir. They learn how their ancestors governed with wisdom, defended their homeland, and embraced new ideas while honoring old traditions. That child may one day become a teacher, an engineer, a doctor, an entrepreneur, a scientist, a government leader. Whatever path they choose, they will carry something far more valuable than professional knowledge. They will carry identity, and identity creates responsibility. Responsibility creates leadership. Leadership creates progress. This is how civilizations continue, not through buildings, through people. The same can be said of every farmer harvesting rice beneath the warm Sumbawa sun. Every fisherman navigating the waters of Bima Bay before dawn. Every craftsman weaving intricate Mbojo textiles. Every imam leading prayers inside the Amahami Floating Mosque. Every elder passing traditional wisdom to grandchildren gathered around them. None of them may ever appear on international television. Few will become global celebrities. Yet together, they preserve something infinitely more valuable, the soul of a civilization. That is why places like Kota Bima deserve our attention. Not because they ask for recognition, but because they offer lessons the modern world desperately needs. Lessons about resilience, lessons about humility, lessons about community, lessons about faith, lessons about respecting the past while preparing for the future. These are lessons that never grow old. The story of Kota Bima is also the story of Indonesia itself, an archipelago built not by one culture, not by one language, not by one kingdom, but by thousands of communities whose histories became woven together into one extraordinary nation. Every region contributes something unique. Aceh contributes its resilience. Java contributes its historic kingdoms. Bali contributes its artistic heritage. Papua contributes its incredible cultural diversity. Sulawesi contributes its maritime traditions. And Bima contributes something equally important, the enduring spirit of the Dou Mbojo, a people who have proven that history is not simply inherited, it must be protected. Every generation has a choice, to forget or to remember, to imitate others or to celebrate who they are, to allow history to disappear or to become its guardian. The people of Kota Bima have made their choice. For centuries they have chosen remembrance, they have chosen preservation, they have chosen continuity. And because of that choice, visitors today can still witness traditions that have survived hundreds of years. They can still walk through the palace of a once powerful sultanate. They can still admire architecture inspired by local philosophy. They can still hear the thunder of horses racing across Sambinay. They can still experience a culture that remains alive instead of existing only in museums. That is a remarkable achievement. As the sun slowly sets beyond Bima Bay, its golden reflection stretches across calm waters that have carried traders, explorers, scholars, and travelers for countless generations. the same sea that welcomed Sang Bima centuries ago, the same sea that connected the kingdom of Bima with distant lands, the same sea that continues to shape the lives of the people who call this place home. The waves keep moving, the tides continue to change, the world keeps evolving, yet some things remain constant: honor, faith, culture, family, community, hope. Those values continue to define Kota Bima. Long after buildings have changed, long after generations have passed, long after today's headlines are forgotten, perhaps that is the true measure of greatness, not how loudly history remembers you, but how faithfully your descendants continue the values you left behind. So, if one day your journey brings you to the eastern edge of Sumbawa Island, do not rush, slow down, watch the sunrise over Bima Bay, listen to the rhythm of daily life, walk through Asi Mbojo, stand quietly inside the Amahami Floating Mosque, speak with the local people, taste their cuisine, learn their stories, respect their traditions, because only then will you truly understand that Kota Bima is far more than a point on a map. It is a living testament to the strength of culture, a guardian of centuries of history, a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern aspiration, a city whose greatest treasure has never been hidden beneath the ground or locked inside a palace. Its greatest treasure has always been its people. And as long as the people of Kota Bima continue to cherish their heritage, honor their ancestors, strengthen their communities, and dream boldly for the future, the legacy of the Dou Mbojo will never fade. It will continue to inspire, it will continue to endure, and it will continue to remind the world that some of Indonesia's greatest stories are still waiting to be discovered. This is Kota Bima, not merely a city, not merely a destination, but a timeless legacy written across generations. A legacy that belongs not only to the people of Bima, but to Indonesia and to the world. There is a saying that every civilization leaves behind a question for future generations. The question is never about how rich they were. It is never about how large their armies became. It is never about how many monuments they built. The real question is this: did they leave the world better than they found it? For Kota Bima, the answer can be found everywhere. It can be found in the ancient manuscripts that continue to preserve centuries of wisdom. It can be found in the palace that still stands with quiet dignity after witnessing the rise and fall of kingdoms. It can be found in the mosque whose architecture beautifully unites faith, philosophy, and local identity. It can be found in the farmers whose harvests continue feeding families across the region. It can be found in the fishermen who greet each sunrise with unwavering determination. It can be found in the young jockeys who carry centuries of tradition across the racetrack with fearless courage. It can be found in every family that teaches its children to respect their elders, honor their ancestors, and serve their community. This is what makes Kota Bima extraordinary. Its greatest achievements cannot be measured only through statistics. Yes, it occupies an area of approximately 222 square kilometers. Yes, it is home to more than 150,000 residents. Yes, it sits at one of the most strategic maritime locations in eastern Indonesia. Those facts matter, but numbers alone can never explain why a place captures the human heart. The answer lies elsewhere. It lies in character. Character built over centuries. character shaped by hardship, character strengthened by faith, character preserved through culture. History teaches us that many powerful civilizations eventually disappeared. Some were destroyed by war, some collapsed because of internal conflict, others simply forgot the values that once made them strong. Kota Bima offers a different lesson. A civilization survives when its people understand that heritage is not a burden, it is a gift. And every gift comes with responsibility. The responsibility to preserve, the responsibility to improve, the responsibility to pass it on. That responsibility now belongs to today's generation, to the students studying inside classrooms, to the entrepreneurs building new businesses, to the artists preserving traditional music and dance, to the historians protecting ancient manuscripts, to the community leaders strengthening social harmony, to every young person who proudly says, "I come from Bima." Because the future of Kota Bima will not be written by history alone. It will be written by the choices made today. Every decision matters. Every act of kindness matters. Every effort to preserve culture matters. Every investment in education matters. Every dream matters. Imagine Kota Bima 50 years from now. Imagine a city where historic landmarks have been carefully preserved, where sustainable tourism allows visitors to experience authentic culture without damaging its integrity, where young entrepreneurs build globally competitive businesses while remaining deeply connected to local traditions, where universities conduct research into the remarkable history of the Sultanate, where technology strengthens education, where the coastline remains clean, where agriculture becomes even more productive through innovation, where cultural festivals attract visitors from around the world, where the Dou Mbojo language continues to be spoken proudly by future generations. That vision is entirely achievable because Kota Bima already possesses the one ingredient that no amount of money can buy: identity. When a community knows who it is, it knows where it wants to go. And when people move forward together with shared purpose, remarkable things become possible. Perhaps that is why the story of Kota Bima feels so inspiring. It reminds us that greatness does not always begin in famous capitals. Sometimes it begins in communities that quietly preserve values generation after generation. Communities that understand leadership is service. Communities that believe culture is strength. Communities that recognize history is not something left behind. History walks beside them every single day. So as this journey comes to an end, let us remember one final truth. Indonesia is not defined by one island, not by one language, not by one culture. Its true strength lies in the extraordinary diversity of places like Kota Bima. Each city contributes a unique chapter. Each community protects a unique legacy. Together, they form one remarkable nation. And among those countless stories, Kota Bima shines as one of Indonesia's most inspiring examples of resilience, faith, cultural pride, and enduring hope. May its history continue to be studied. May its traditions continue to flourish. May its people continue to prosper. And may future generations inherit not only the land of Dou Mbojo, but also the wisdom, courage, and spirit that have defined it for centuries. Because the greatest inheritance is never gold, it is never power, it is never territory. The greatest inheritance is identity, and Kota Bima has protected that identity through kingdoms, through sultanates, through independence, and into the modern age. That is why its story deserves to be remembered, not only today, not only tomorrow, but for generations yet to come. This is Kota Bima, the timeless heart of the Mbojo civilization, the eastern guardian of Sumbawa, a city where history still breathes, a city where culture still lives, a city whose greatest chapter is not behind it, its greatest chapter may still be ahead. One day, perhaps decades from now, another traveler will arrive in Kota Bima, just as the first rays of sunlight touch the waters of Bima Bay. They may not know the names of its ancient kings. They may never have heard of Sang Bima. They may know nothing about the Federation of the Enchuhi. They may not yet understand why the Sultanate of Bima played such an important role in the history of eastern Indonesia. But something will happen. As they watch fishermen preparing their boats before dawn, as they hear the call to prayer echo gently across the bay, as they see children walking to school carrying hopes bigger than themselves, as they stand inside the graceful halls of Asi Mbojo, as they admire the elegant silhouette of the Amahami Floating Mosque rising above the sea, as they witness the breathtaking excitement of Pacoa Jara, they will begin to understand. Not through words, not through statistics, not through history books, but through experience. Because some places cannot simply be explained, they must be felt. Kota Bima is one of those places. Its beauty is not loud, its greatness is not arrogant, its history does not demand attention. Instead, it quietly invites the world to listen, to learn, to reflect, to remember. The greatest civilizations are not those that conquer the most land. They are those that leave behind timeless values. The people of Kota Bima inherited more than a kingdom. They inherited wisdom. The wisdom to lead with humility. The wisdom to welcome change without abandoning tradition. The wisdom to protect faith while embracing diversity. The wisdom to build communities where cooperation matters more than individual glory. These principles transformed a small kingdom into a respected sultanate. They transformed a historic capital into a modern city, and they continue to shape the lives of its people today. Across Indonesia, countless communities are writing their own stories. Some are famous, others remain hidden, yet every community contributes another thread to the extraordinary fabric of this nation. Kota Bima reminds us that no story is too small to matter. No culture is too distant to deserve recognition. No tradition is too old to inspire the future. Every language spoken by its elders, every melody performed during traditional ceremonies, every woven textile created by skilled hands, every prayer whispered inside centuries-old traditions, every child taught to respect both faith and family. These are not ordinary moments. Together, they become the heartbeat of a civilization. History often celebrates great battles, but history is also shaped by quiet victories, a family preserving its traditions, a teacher inspiring a classroom, a farmer feeding a community, a fisherman respecting the sea that has sustained generations, an artist refusing to let ancestral knowledge disappear. These victories rarely appear in headlines, yet they are the victories that allow civilizations to endure. Perhaps that is why Kota Bima has survived every chapter of history, because its greatest strength has never been found inside palace walls. It has always lived inside its people, inside their compassion, inside their resilience, inside their determination to protect what truly matters. As Indonesia continues to move confidently toward the future, cities like Kota Bima remind us that development and heritage are never enemies. Roads may become wider, technology may become smarter, cities may become larger, economies may become stronger, but progress becomes meaningful only when it is guided by values. Without values, prosperity becomes temporary. Without culture, identity becomes fragile. Without history, the future loses its direction. Kota Bima teaches the opposite. Build the future, but carry your ancestors with you. Dream boldly, but remember where your journey began. Reach for the world, but never lose your soul. Because identity is not something that limits us. Identity is what gives us the confidence to stand among the nations of the world. For more than 4 centuries, the people of Bima have proven that principle. From the legendary arrival of Sang Bima, to the rise of the Kingdom of Bima, to the transformation into the Sultanate, to the struggle through colonial influence, to the birth of modern Indonesia, to the establishment of Kota Bima in the 21st century, every chapter tells the same story. A story of resilience, a story of faith, a story of courage, a story of hope, and perhaps most importantly, a story of continuity. Because civilizations do not truly disappear when their kingdoms end. They endure whenever their values continue living in the hearts of their people. That is the miracle of Kota Bima. The kingdom may have become history, the sultanate may have become memory, but the spirit of the Dou Mbojo still lives. It lives in every sunrise over Bima Bay. It lives in every traditional ceremony. It lives in every smile that welcomes visitors. It lives in every generation that proudly says, "This is our home. This is our heritage. This is our future." So, whenever the story of Indonesia is told, let Kota Bima be remembered not simply as a city on the eastern edge of Sumbawa Island. Let it be remembered as a place where history still breathes, where culture still grows, where faith still guides, where traditions still unite, where ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things simply by preserving the values handed down to them across centuries. Because long after monuments weather, long after governments change, long after generations pass away, one thing will remain: the enduring spirit of Kota Bima, a spirit that reminds the world that true greatness is never measured by how loudly a civilization announces itself. True greatness is measured by how deeply it inspires humanity, and that is the timeless legacy of Kota Bima. End.